The average altitude in the Karakoram area is 6,000 meters. The geology of the area is very complex and geologically active. The road construction crew will face both unprecedented engineering challenges and difficult natural conditions. Chinese engineers have accumulated nearly half a century of knowledge and experience, but are ready to build one of the world's highest roads under these extreme conditions. One day in late December 2009, Ye Chengyan is riding in an SUV speeding down a mountain road in northern Pakistan. As project manager for the Karakoram Highway project, he has rarely felt this relaxed since arriving in Pakistan 3 years ago. Chengyan and his team of workers, 2,700 strong, began rebuilding the Karakoram Highway in 2008. They faced the same problems the previous workers encountered, bad weather and mudslides. And yet, by the end of 2009, they completed almost a third of the road with the use of advanced equipment and state-of-the-art technology. Just as Ye was beginning to believe that the project could be completed ahead of schedule, a mysterious cloud appeared outside the office window at the base camp in Gulmit.
漫天遍野的，就感觉是天灰蒙蒙的，发黄。
河谷里面都弥漫一种黄色的雾，这雾还经久不散，而且这浓度越来越大。
The dust was coming from somewhere below the base camp on the middle reaches of the Hunza River. Meanwhile, Wang Weiguo, in charge of Section B, also noticed something abnormal in the sky.
10几公里的20多公里的位置，我就看到很多尘土飞扬。我也同时也接到我们上游公路米特我们领导的电话，说让我尽快赶到这个现场。
This was shot by Wang Weiguo's crew at the site. The collapse of the side of a slope was generating the dust. This was the worst such collapse in Hunza in many years. The collapse was in the small village of Atabad in Hunza. This happens to be in middle of the Karakoram Highway project and a vital transportation link. Ye Chengyan went to inspect the damage done to the highway as soon as the site was safe.
我一看就是吓一跳，是我们路对岸的那个山体，大概有700多米高的山体，整体的滑下来，路基整个给砸没了。
The collapse can be recreated through 3D technology. The entire peak on the north bank of the Hunza River collapsed. When the falling debris hit the water, it threw mud against the opposite bank of the river, destroying over 2 kilometers of newly built foundation. To make matters worse, about 10 days later, a lake began forming above the barrier dam on the Hunza River. The recently built road foundations and bridge piers of the Shushgat Bridge began disappearing under the lake, and the base camp became an isolated island, forcing everyone to abandon it. 4 months later, the lake was 107 meters deep and 25 kilometers long and covered 20 kilometers of the highway. The lake had about 4 times the volume of West Lake and completely cut Karakoram Highway in 2. But worse was to come. Temperatures begin rising in Hunza in May, melting the ice on the mountain and swelling the lake. The water would soon spill over the barrier dam. If the dam were to burst from the pressure, everything in the water's path below would be wiped out. Ye Qingyin immediately called a meeting of all the project officials to come up with an emergency plan. Experts estimated that if 50% of the water in the lake were to be released, a 20-meter wave would hit the camp of Section B. It would only take 15 minutes to travel the 70-kilometer distance. If all the water were to be released at once, the temporary bridge on Section A in Gilgit would be destroyed within 60 minutes. Many of camps of the Sections A and B are located near water. A flood would be disastrous for both equipment and personnel. To ensure the safety of the crew and local Pakistanis, Ye Qingyin ordered the water level of the Hunza River to be monitored 24 hours a day. Meanwhile, he called in an expert to analyze the risk in the event of the dam collapsing. The person he invited is Chen Xiaoqing, researcher at the Institute of Mountain Hazards and Environment in Chengdu. Chen is a geology professor who knows a lot about the effects of earthquakes and landslides. He found that the dam was composed of fine silt and large rocks. More than 30% of the rocks were over 5 meters in diameter.
好，大块石会阻流，那么它就切不动，这样子的话，它就相当于就说要溃的话，就需要很大的流量，它的那个动能不够，那么它就切不下去，这样子可以保持我们坝体的稳定。
The lake began spilling over the top of the dam on May 30, and Chen's estimate was proved correct.
还算是不幸中的万幸，塌方虽然发生了，但是溃坝没有产生。
Everyone was relieved, but it wasn't all good news.
如果说溃坝到底，那么我们路会全露出来，那就不用说了，那我们就把原来路就修好。如果一点不溃呢，那么这个湖水就会长期存在。那么你怎么办？你来清理那个塌方，你还是说再另辟蹊径，再寻找另外一条路？
It has been 4 years since the launching of the Karakoram Highway project. The crew had already dealt with floods, mudslides, and avalanches. Now, they had the unprecedented task of finding an alternate route. The Pakistani government sent an Army Corps of Engineers to drain the lake so that work could resume on the submerged section of the road. Route manager Wang Weiguo came to the site every month to monitor the progress.
2年多的时间，目前他们的水位降下去，也就是12、3米的样子。
At this rate, it would take another 16 years to recover the most deeply submerged sections. But even when the water level goes down, this section of the road can still not be salvaged from the mudslide.
开始我们还寄予一点希望，希望他们能够加快这个进度。但是到后来的话，根据实际情况，降坝的这种进展，可能我们要另做打算。
Zhu Yi, head of the project's design team, returned to Pakistan in December 2012 to inspect the lake and approve the plan for a new route.
这次过来已经第7次，每次过来以后呢，平均大概得2-3个月时间。就这个项目，这20多公里，确确实实比国内200多公里都付出的代价都大了。
After more than a year surveying the site, Zhu Yi had a fairly comprehensive picture of the area around the lake, but he was still not sure about the best way to revise the route.
夜色湖里边，下面的水有100多米，把整个的空间都占了。再往上骑，这边的自然坡度呢，基本上达到70度以上，也就是说，基本上到了绝壁上了。就是路修通的上面的这个不停地往下掉石头，高位崩塌是相当严重。在这种情况，你修开这条路，即使你修开了，运行起来也是很不安全的。
In the end, Zhu Yi decides a tunnel would be the safest and most feasible solution, both for the crew and the road. Zhu Yi's design calls for 5 tunnels, which would go through the collapsed peak to avoid the danger of mountain collapses, mudslides, and falling rocks. When the water level in the lake goes down another 15 meters, tunnel number 5 would connect to the already built road through Shushgat village. The part of the Shushgat bridge that remains above water will be used to link the road to the unaffected section in Gulmit. Eventually, the road will connect with the already built section C of the Karakoram Highway. The choice of alternate route was finally settled 2 years after the lake was formed. Wang Weiguo hurried to the pier of the lake first thing in the morning, where the crew responsible for the 3 tunnels of Phase 1 were already on site. Work officially began on the alternate route 2 months ago, but equipment and materials from the other end of the lake have still not reached them.
我们目前的施工，首先我们应该说是不能，无米下锅，我们必须要把我们的材料设备准备齐全，我们才能够进行现场施工。
The interim pier on the lake is now being temporarily widened so that large pieces of equipment can be brought in to continue work.
应该说是走民用码头是我们最不愿意走的一个方案。如果说是操作不当，或者说码头修建的不够安全的话，会出现就是说车辆向上走的时候会把我们的船推出去，然后车辆会掉入水里。
Excavator and tons of steel are supposed to arrive today. 2 large barges were bought for this purpose, but it's getting windy on the lake. Although local crew has been training and rehearsing for a month, Wang Weiguo is worried about the equipment falling off the barges. In a month, temperatures at the lake will drop to nearly minus 20 degrees Celsius. The frozen lake will prevent barges from bringing supplies, so we must get the equipment and materials here as soon as possible. The excavator, the most unwieldy item, was first safely loaded onto the barge, but the hardest part was yet to come. Both tunnel number 2 and 3 are to be built on sheer cliffs. Reaching the location is difficult enough for the crew, let alone the equipment and materials. But Wang must find a way to get the excavator up to the site. As the barge was approaching the pier, it became obvious that the gap between the pier and the loading plank was too great. The crew couldn't offload the excavator. After filling the gap with rock, they began working to get the excavator on shore. Pulling itself up by its arms, the excavator finally makes it up the slope. The arrival of the equipment and materials marked the true start of this phase of the project. Tang Yo-bin is the team leader of this detonation team. Today, the team is setting off the first large explosion for the exit of tunnel number 1. In spite of his years of experience, Tang was surprised when he arrived at the site.
当时心里想了，就是觉得怎么巴基斯坦山就这样，这种山在一般是不多，在国内是很少见。
The shock of an explosion could cause the collapse of these unstable mountains, so Tang carefully studied conditions in the area.
看那个上面的那个松动那个岩石有没有什么变化，如果有什么松动，我首先得把那个人员首先撤离那个危险地带，然后想办法能够处理的话，处理以后确定能够安全能够作业的时候才能够去。
Tang Yo-bin carefully designed the distribution and depth of the holes to keep impact on the mountain to a minimum. The main force of the explosions will be outward, making rocks fly like bullets as far as 1,000 meters. Tang Yo-bin will press the detonator from a safe spot, but the rest of the crew will leave the mountain ahead of time.
我觉得那个爆破效果还可以，跟我们预期想的那效果差不多。
As the detonation work continues, Tang begins to worry about the structure of the rocks themselves.
再往里打都有点困难。
Building safe tunnels while ensuring worker safety requires that steps be taken to fortify the structure of the mountain. Steel pipes with many small holes in them are inserted into the mountain above the tunnels about every 50 centimeters. Cement slurry is then injected into the pipe, which then escapes through the holes and fills the gaps between rocks, helping to strengthen the mountain. After 20 meters, smaller pipes are used and the angle is adjusted for the slope of the mountain. Almost all the other tunnels will be handled in a similar manner. These pipes will ensure the safety of tunnels running through the unstable mountains. Arham, whose home is in the capital Islamabad, is driving his truck from the port of Sost at the Pakistani border. He's been driving on the Karakoram highway for over 30 years. Arkham used to make 3 round trips on the Karakoram Highway every month. He set out from the port of Sost and crossed the northern mountainous areas to reach the southern port city of Karachi. The pay of 300,000 rupees a month tempted him to leave his hometown to spend most of the time on the road, but the destruction of the road by the lake dramatically reduced the incomes of truck drivers like him. Many changed occupations, but Arkham was confident in the future.
इंजीनियर तो आज का इंजीनियर तो कल के इंजीनियर से बहुत बेहतर है ना, क्योंकि तालीम के मैदान में तो अभी बहुत ज़्यादा तरक्की हो गई है। कल का इंजीनियर और था, आज का इंजीनियर जो है वो और है। अभी तो खिला में और मरीख के करीब पहुंच रहे हैं। वो तो चलो 69 में चांद पर पहुंच गए थे, वो तो नज़दीक है ना, 3,40,000 किलोमीटर है।
Repairing the Karakoram Highway will reopen the trade corridor between China and Pakistan. The bilateral trade creates development opportunities for the isolated mountain residents, promotes Pakistan's economic development, and enhances trade between the western region of China and West Asia. As of 2013, all sections of the project have been completed except for the alternate route around the lake, which is scheduled for completion in July 2014. The plan for Phase 2 of the alternate route is now undergoing final revision. When this section is completed, the entire Karakoram Highway will once again be open for traffic. The designers, project managers, technical personnel, and ordinary workers on the Karakoram Highway project have been hard at work widening and repairing the road since 2006. The project is a testimony of the determination and wisdom of thousands of Chinese road builders over a span of nearly 50 years. The Karakoram Highway owns a rich history. It will once again wind through the mountains and deep valleys of the Pamir Plateau to bring fresh opportunities and hope for people cut off from the world by the mountains.